Hey y'all, so toxic players are the worst, we all know that. You join a lobby, someone starts screaming at everyone, making an embarrassment of themselves, and generally being a nuisance. This can range from mildly annoying to something that ruins your day and your faith in humanity and Rec Room as a whole. But today, I've put together a guide with 7 tips on dealing with toxic players in Rec Room, so let's get right into it. Number 1. Don't even listen, just mute right away. The first key to remaining unaffected by a venomous person is to literally hit the mute button in the game. You can click on their profile and it's right there on the right. There's also shortcut hand gestures, though I've never gotten the hang of those. If there are several people being annoying, you can party up with your friends if you haven't already, and then go into your settings, audio, and slide the bar over to hearing party-only voices. This way, you're now safe in a little bubble. Just be warned that the other players can still hear you. So don't go blabbing about how racial slur Randy over there is making a fool out of himself. He can still hear you. Now, muting someone may stop them from invading your eardrums, but it does not fix any problems besides preserving your own well-being. It's like putting a band-aid on. You still have a cut, you might still even be bleeding, but this stops you from bleeding any further. We still have many more steps we can take to put a stop to these players, though. Number 2, put in a detailed report. The second thing you should do if you witness horrible behavior in Rec Room is to put in a report. Now, there's quite a few categories to choose from, anything from disruptive trolling to discriminatory behavior. Not only that, but there's a drop-down feature for each of those categories. I know personally when I'm in the moment listening to someone being awful and I'm trying to put in a report, my nerves are usually a bit frayed, and so I just want to pick the quickest option and be done with it. Sometimes those toxic players are even watching you and egging you on, saying stuff like,
"Fine, go ahead, report me then, you..."
which makes it even more tough to focus on what you're trying to do. But it's important that you not only select the drop-down for the right type of behavior you're witnessing, but also use that extra box to type in details. I know it probably feels weird typing in the words that they're saying, since we all know they're probably not words you should be comfortable using. However, I do feel that it's a critical step, and I'm sure on Rec Room's end, the more information they see against a toxic player, the more legit those reports end up being. And therefore, the more seriously the game will take it when reviewing that person's file. So I always try to be as detailed as possible, even if it makes me feel kind of uncomfortable. Number 3, don't talk back to the toxic player. When you're faced with someone yelling at you, insulting you, calling you all sorts of names, or commenting on your race, sexual orientation, your Rec Room outfit, your voice, your gender, whatever it may be, those people are looking for a fight. Anything and everything you say will be taken and spun and thrown back in your face. People who are this good at getting a rise out of people love nothing more than seeing you get upset. I feel like that's actually their subconscious goal, to make other people as upset as they feel on the inside. I don't know when this turned into human psychology class with Tarapeutic, but whatever, I digress. It's crucial that you mute, report, and move on without engaging back. Also, so what if you have the best insult on the tip of your tongue ready to throw back at them? Even if it does shut them up and make them feel bad, how do 2 wrongs make a right? Now you're just down on their level, and that's not a good habit to get into. At Team Tarapeutic, we're a classy bunch. We know that the world gets better with kindness, and that's the only way. Number 4, consider filming when in Rec Room. Another way to combat toxic people is to film when you're in the game. Now, I don't mean filming everything all the time, but if you play public lobbies, it doesn't hurt to start recording, especially if you sense a situation transpiring that might turn into a fight. There are screen recording apps for mobile, and OBS Studios is a free recording software if you play on PC. In addition, anyone with a Quest 2 can film easily. Getting your footage off that thing is another matter entirely, but honestly, setting up the ability to film will give you peace of mind. I'll also link to the Zendesk site in the description of the video, because once you have your footage, you can actually forward this to Rec Room in the form of a support ticket, and they have a category for reporting other players and uploading files. Sometimes I do this in addition to putting in a report in-game, depending on how toxic a person was being. Every single time I turn on Rec Room, I hit record. People always ask me, "Are you filming?" And I always say, "I'm not filming, but I'm recording," meaning I'm not making a video, but I will still have record of this interaction. I have like 4 external hard drives full of Rec Room footage, but I don't care. Someone told me back in the day that Rec Room YouTubers get false reported a lot and it could lead to bans, and since I make videos on this game for a living, I got very paranoid about these things. Number 5, don't take the toxic people to heart. Now, I know that we all have memories of players in Rec Room that have said things to rattle us, and it's a very challenging thing to not internalize it. I think one of the most important things I've had to learn in my life is that not every interaction involving me is about me. In the past, if someone gets mad at me, snaps at me, says something that sounds like a jab, or in general just acts kind of strange towards me, I always immediately think I've done something wrong. I start thinking of all the things I might have done to upset them, and that voice in my head goes on and on until I actually communicate with that person, and usually find out that the underlying reason had almost 0 to do with me. I'm slowly learning that 9 times out of 10, there's a reason for this behavior that doesn't involve me. The person was having a bad day, or they were tired, or triggered by something because of their past interactions with other people. The point I'm trying to make, sorry if it sounds convoluted, is that you shouldn't take it to heart if someone is randomly being mad at you. It says more about what they're going through in their life than anything. Even if it sounds like a direct hit on you, rest rest assured that person is hurting in some way despite sounding confident when they hurl insults at you. Happy people with perfect lives don't go around acting like that. That's got the mark of a wounded person all over it. It's the same with an actual wounded animal. Is it gonna walk around wagging its tail happily and frolicking? No. A wounded animal bites, acts aggressive, and unpredictably. So just think of toxic people as wounded animals that you should act cautiously around, but realize that they're injured and can't help but lash out because they don't feel great. Took me way too long to exemplify that point. Alright, moving on. Number 6. If someone in your friend group is toxic, talk to your friends about it. Now, most of the time in Rec Room, the people you encounter that are negative Nancies will be strangers. This makes it easier to deal with because you can choose to mute, block, report, leave the room, and generally speaking, you can keep yourself at arm's length mentally from these people because they're not someone you know. But sadly, sometimes toxic people can infiltrate into your current friend group and start causing problems. You know the one I'm talking about. Every time you're in a quest, they make those little side comments like,
"Stop dying, I thought you said you were good at Golden."
Or they might tease you about something when hanging out in your dorm, and they call you a friend, yet the thing they're teasing you about sounds more like something a bully would say. In this case, I always think it's best to confront the person about their behavior, or at the very least, talk to your other friends about it and form a plan together. Chances are, they're all thinking the same thing, but no one has wanted to come out and say it. At that point, you might all collectively decide to approach the negative friend and let them know how this behavior has been affecting the friend group and dragging down the mood. I do think it's important to try and negotiate with people first, as they may not know that that behavior is really all that bad. Remember, just because you have been raised to be kind and respectful doesn't mean everyone was. Some people witness horrible things at home from their parents or siblings, and acting that way might be something they're used to because they're exposed to it on a daily basis. Doesn't make it right, I'm just saying. Oftentimes, it comes from somewhere, so the first step shouldn't always be to just blame that person directly. Having compassion and understanding and realizing they're likely suffering just as bad, if not worse, is a key component of dealing with toxic players and people as a whole. Number 7. Apply to be a volunteer mod. This is one of my favorites. As someone who recently became a VMOD, I can tell you that it's a great peace of mind. If you're someone who wants to make Rec Room a better place and you want VMOD powers for good, not evil, then I urge you to sign up when applications open. Usually Rec Room announces this on their Discord. Even if you're not a volunteer mod though, you can still be on Community Vigilante Patrol and employ the other steps I mentioned to help mitigate toxic people from infiltrating. At the end of the day, I see many people a day in Rec Room. Yes, I'm biased because usually they're waving a camera in my face screaming, "Tarapeutic, oh my god, are you real?" And I don't get to witness the game as most people do anymore. But I still have a memory, even if I can't remember what I had for breakfast yesterday, I still remember being not so famous in the game and all the stuff I witnessed as a regular civilian. I used to play Rec Royale daily, but I had to do it with voices off because toxic players kept ruining my day. The slurs alone made me want to flee the lobby, let alone all the people yelling at me when I killed them or vice versa, and everything else I witnessed in between. Even recently, I was doing a video on going undercover in Rec Room, and every time I died in a public paintball lobby, this one kid kept screaming at me,
You little what's wrong with you?
even though they were on my team. People suck. I had a point. What was it again? Oh yeah, my point is, I have faith that if you're watching this video, you want to make Rec Room a better place too. That means getting on board with taking a positive, proactive attitude towards all of this and not letting it get you down. Because I do see a ton of people in a day, I can assure you. 90% of people are A-okay and really wholesome and just want to play this game the way it's meant to be played. Alrighty, don't forget to use code TARA in Rec Room or hit the support button on my profile if you found this video helpful, enlightening, overly ambitious, or all of the above. Using my code doesn't cost you anything, but it helps my channel out a lot since Rec Room gives me money when people use the code, and then I use that money to pay my bills. So yeah, that's how that all works in a nutshell. I put another video up on screen that I think you'll enjoy watching next, so we'll see you over there.